What's up, everyone? It's your girl Brain Shanae, and today I'm finally going to do my April wrap up. So let's go ahead and get started because I feel like it's going to be a long time with this wrap up, but I'm going to do the very best that I can. I'm not going to be as descriptive with a lot of stuff, especially when the majority of it is manga, but enough chatter. Let's go ahead and get to it. So for my manga, I had participated in 30 and 30. That was hosted by Ashley, Bree from Lockpictician. You have Izzy, and you have Shay. So I had attempted to read 30 manga in 30 days, but I had failed. I was least short by I think like 5 or 6 manga. I will be participating again. It's just I just did not accomplish it, but I'm glad that it pushed me into reading more manga and getting me out of my comfort zone, which I do appreciate them for doing that, because if they didn't, I wouldn't have done this. So I'm going to start with the manga that I've read in April. So the first one that I read, this is the second volume of this particular series, and I love it. It's like a Cinderella type of retelling mixed with like a paranormal twist, and it's located in Japan, and it's like a historical romance, and that is My Happy Marriage, and this is volume 2. I'm really excited for this series. I love it. I love the characters dynamic. It's very touching, and it has me all warm and fuzzy inside. I'm looking forward to continuing on reading the series. I believe volume 3 is going to be coming out sometime in May, so I'm really looking forward to continuing. But this is a fantastic manga in the series, so definitely check it out. And I also love the cover. So this is one of the mangas that I read, and then the next one, which I believe I read volume 1 last year, and so this is volume 2. It's The Remarried Empress, and I love this. I think that the Empress is starting to get a feel of who the person she's been communicating with this bird to, but we find out more information about the bird itself that she calls Queen. And a lot is revealed in The Remarried Empress, because her husband, the emperor, has a mistress, and he's wanting to be with her. He's always at her beck and call, always has her back, always defends her, where she is left, still being the empress because that's her job, that's her duty. But she has someone on the side, technically, and I think she's starting to realize who this bird is. And I guess this type of, it's like the person that she's been communicating with is like a shapeshifter in a sense. And I actually enjoyed it. Even on the back it says, "My queen, I don't want to lie to you of all people." So he is trying to reveal to her his true form and who he really is, but she doesn't know exactly. She has an idea, but she hasn't accepted oh, this is him. She's just trying to put 2 and 2 together at this time, and I just loved this series. I'm looking forward to the 3rd volume. I think it comes out later this year, so I'm going to have a little of a wait for it, but I'm excited, and I'm going to remain patient for the 3rd volume. So we have this. The next one, which this is the 1st volume, I was a little bit skeptical about this, but I wanted to give it a go because this is like a Beauty and the Beast type of retelling, and it's very fascinating, I will say. And by the way, I'm sorry that I didn't give y'all ratings for these. I don't honestly remember. I believe I gave this a 4 out of 5, and I gave Remarried Empress a 4 out of 5. So just FYI. But for this one, I gave a 4 out of 5 stars for sure, and that is Beauty and the Beast of Paradise Lost. And I was actually surprised. Like I said, I was very skeptical. I did not know if I would enjoy this, but I really did. And I look forward to continuing on with the series. I know there's a few volumes that are already out. So yeah, I'm definitely going to pick up the second volume and see how it goes. But it's very intriguing and very interesting. I believe Ashley from the Bookish Realm is what got me wanting to read this, because I knew she was reading it, and I was like, oh, let me give it a try. I like retellings, why not? And I absolutely fell in love with this. So yeah, definitely love this one. Next one, I read the first 4 volumes of this, and it really surprised me. There were some moments, especially when the person that she's starting to fall for and was like, she didn't know was like a father figure to her, in a sense. It was a little weird, but the story is actually pretty cute. It's about a girl who likes to take care of dragons. And then one of the main men that she actually is falling for, and he's falling for her as well. I think he always fell for her, but he just didn't reveal it. He has a dragon, and this dragon told him himself that she chose her. So like I said, these are the first 4 volumes, and that is the Dragon Knight's Beloved. So we have the first 4 volumes. And there was like a big reveal, I think, for this one, I believe, and then it goes on. So it's really good. Like I said, I enjoyed every single moment of this. It had its moment, don't get me wrong, but I'm glad that I looked past it and looked at the bigger picture. And I just really enjoyed every one of these. I know forget which volume, but I gave it a 3 out of 5, and then 4 out of 5, and then a 5 out of 5. So it varies from manga to manga, but I absolutely enjoyed this, and I'm excited to continue on with this series. It's really good. It's fast paced, and I like the adventure, and most of all, I love the dragons in this as well. I'm a sucker when it comes to dragons and books. So yeah, but I read all 4, and I cannot wait to read more when the 5th volume comes out. Now these next 2 volumes that I have here, I am obsessed with this series. I plan on reading every single manga that it has. Like, I believe the 25th volume is coming out in a couple of weeks. And I even love the TV, like the show as well. Like, it only has 2 seasons, so overall 24 episodes, and I'm a little sad because I just now realized and had found out about this series, and I really hope it comes out with a 3rd season. I really do, because it's just a fantastic story. So I read the first 2 volumes, like I said, and that is Snow White with the Red Hair. This is by Sarada Kadukai. And like I said, this is volume 1 and this is volume 2. We're following a girl, Shiryuki, and this is Zen. Shiryuki has red hair, which is very, very unusual where she lives, in Tambourine. And out of nowhere, the Prince of Tambourine orders her to be his concubine. So she runs away, she cuts her hair, and then she ends up meeting Zen in the most mysterious way. And then later on, she finds out that he is a prince. So I love this so much. Like I said, I already watched the TV series, and I think that's what made me push me to read this, because like I said, the TV series only has 24 episodes, which I think only covers like all the way up to volume 6, I believe. So I want to continue on, because if they don't push for a 3rd season, I at least want to read the manga so I know what happens next. So yeah, of course, I gave them both 5 out of 5 stars just because I'm so obsessed with this, and I plan on getting the rest of the mangas in this series for sure. I am, because I absolutely fell in love with these characters. I fell in love with Zen, Shiryuki, Mitsuhide, Kiki, who is his people who take care of him and guard him, and Obi, who is pretty much Shiryuki's attendant to make sure that she stays safe. So I really enjoyed, like, as you know, how detailed I am with these characters, because I'm obsessed. So if you haven't started this series yet, I suggest you do so. It is so, so good. But enough of me rambling about this, because I can go on and on about Snow White with the red hair. I could, but we're not. So here is this. The next 2, which I seen on Shay's channel, which I actually was a little bit, will I enjoy this or not? And this is very spicy, it's very explicit. These were wrapped in plastic, and usually when that means it's wrapped in plastic, which means there's a lot of sexual scenes and stuff that's, parental advisory. So I actually loved the first 2 volumes, and now I gotta wait, and I gotta see what happens next. So we have I'll Never Be Your Crown Princess, volume 1 and volume 2. Love this so much. I love the chemistry between these 2. I loved the first volume, the whole introduction to the main characters. I loved it, how she went to pretty much a party or ball, whatever you want to call it, and she wanted to she was betrothed to someone, and she didn't want to do that. So she's like, okay, I need to get rid of my virginity. I need to have sex with someone. And come to find out, the person she has sex with was actually her betrothed, but he was disguised. So, so it was just funny. I'm like, oh my God. So this is really, really good. If you haven't read this, I suggest you do so. It's really good. Let me just read the synopsis for you, even though I'm sure you already know about this, but it says, I will not be your plaything. Liddy, who was Japanese in her previous life, is now the daughter of a duke and engaged to marry the gorgeous crown prince Friedrich. Sounds like a dream come true, except this is a world that practices polygamy, and Liddy refuses to marry a man with multiple wives. To sabotage the engagement, she loses her virginity to a stranger, but that plan is thwarted by a surprising revelation. What will happen to Liddy next in this hot fantasy romance? So yeah, it gets really, really good. So I am excited for the next volume for this. And of course, I gave these 5 stars because the spiciness in this book. It's just, woo, a lot of steam. So good. Now, these next 3 volumes, I've already read volumes 1 through 4. And then I continue on with this because I'm just in love with this. And that is the Apothecary Diaries. And this is volumes 5 through 7. Whoops. And I think the next volumes come out later on this year. I think either September or maybe it's October or November. I don't remember, but I loved every single one of these where we meet Mao Mao, who is pretty much tests food and stuff and tests herself against poisons and all this type of good stuff. So she's an interesting character. And then we have Genshi, who is also very interesting. And in volume 7 and volume 6, we start to get more reveals when it comes to him, and particularly in who he really is. And he's very, like, I think he has a thing for Mama or maybe I don't know how to pronounce her name. And it just seems like he likes her, but then he doesn't. It's weird. So it's like for this series, it builds up slowly, which I do not mind. I fell in love with this character and Gen C in particular. So I'm hoping to see what happens next. But of course, I gave these between each volume, I gave it a 4 to 5 stars. So if you haven't started reading the Apothecary Diaries, I highly suggest you do so. It's really good. The next volume, which was introduced to me by Ashley from the Bookish Realm, which thank you, Ashley, for this, because now I'm hooked and just obsessed with this. And this is the second volume. I read the first volume last year in December, particularly. And this is volume 2 of Dinosaur Sanctuary. And as Ashley has put it, if you like Jurassic Park and dinosaurs and stuff like that, this is a good recommendation. And she's absolutely right. And I love this so much. It is so good, especially talk about a dinosaur park and taking care of the dinosaurs and what happened in the past with one of the employees. So this is a really good time. I automatically gave this a 5 to 5 stars because I just had a great time with it. There's always something being revealed and it's leading up to something. It's like a build up for each one, and I'm excited for the next volume. So 5 stars for Dinosaur Sanctuary. Next one, I started reading this and it's a very, very popular series in manga. And that is Solo Leveling. This is volume 1 and volume 2. I have volume 3, but I didn't finish it. I will finish it later on a later date. And there's this guy who is pretty much on a level E rank, where that means he's just terrible. And his name is Jinwoo, to be specific. And he just ends up being terrible, but then in one of the games that he plays or whatever, in order to get money, in order to take care of medical bills, he levels up, and he keeps leveling up, and he strives to become stronger, faster, having more, like, how can I even say it, be more, I don't know, just he's very ambitious and wanting to be better just so that he can earn more and stuff like that. But I think it's getting a little bit too much for him. I feel like he's doing too much at this point. He's like over the top. So I'm really worried to see what happens in volume 3. Like I said, I started it, but it's literally at the beginning of the first 2 pages. So, but I might just reread it, start from the very beginning and see what happens with him. But I'm very, very worried about our main character. But yeah, so volume 1 and volume 2 of Soul Leveling. I believe volume 6 is already out now, so I need to catch up, which I plan to do so later on, or I might hold on to it until the next 30-30 challenge. So we shall see. But I love Soul Leveling, and I will continue on with that series. And then this is the last 2. These are the first 2 volumes of this particular series, which is brand new. And that is Villains Are Destined to Die, volumes 1 through 2, where we deal with a girl who ends up playing this video game, and then she ends up in this world, and she is known as a villain. But in order to not become a villain anymore, she has to earn people's affections and sympathy and stuff like that by points and their stars and all this other stuff. So the odds are against her, but she has the willpower to change everything around for her not to be the villain, even though it says villains are destined to die. And she's trying to make sure she doesn't die, because she doesn't know if she doesn't win this game, what will happen to her in real life. Will she also die? Will her body die? We don't know. So I just found this very intriguing. I gave both of these a 5 out of 5 stars because I like the creativity of this, of how her real life, she had some similar circumstances with the character that she's playing in this game. And so she's reliving her life, but making different choices and decisions that I feel like that she wished she made in her real life. So yeah, love this. If you haven't started reading Villains Are Destined to Die, I suggest you do so. It's really, really fascinating. So there's that. Don't expect me to pick up that pile, because I'm not. This next book, I gave this a 4 out of 5 star, which it came out earlier this year, I think, and that is Seven Faceless Saints by N.K. Lobb. This was really good. There's a lot of action. I believe this is the first book in a series. It ended like there's going to be another book where we follow main character Roz and Damien. And Roz is a very interesting character, and Damien is just gullible. He feels like the people and all the saints and everything, and the story that was told to him since he was a child is a realistic thing, and the saints are this and they're that. But Roz knows the true picture. And Roz and Damien, they were lovers. They were friends into lovers, and then things happened where Damien had killed Roz's father. And so there's that, where she looked at Damien as the enemy, but Damien didn't know anything about it. And so there's type of some romance within this book. It's really interesting. So I'm really looking forward to seeing where the story goes and what happens. But I had a great time reading this. This next book, which I'm going to be continuing the series. I love it. It's a novella. It had me on, it just had me. And so I'm really excited for the next book that I read. I don't know when the next book I'll read in the series, but hopefully sometime this year. And that is Every Heart a Doorway by Shannon McGuire. Loved it. I gave it 4 out of 5 stars. I don't know why I'm just now reading this, but better late than never. And I just had a really great time with this. So I'm excited for the next book. Then this, I actually did a book review for, which I'm going to leave up above. I'm not going to do a full review on right here. You're just going to have to watch my review after this video. And that is Zora Books Her Happy Ever After. This is by Taj McCoy. This is her second book that she has written, and it's released into the world. So yeah, definitely watch my book review for this. I love this book. Next book, this is the book that Bree and I read for our Zona Hurston read-along, which I had a fun time and fantastic time reading this book. It made me feel like I was at home. I was on the porch with them as they were sharing these stories and stuff like that, and all these different superstitions and all that. Like, I had a ball. And then to know more about hoodoo and Marie Laveau, I just had a fantastic time, and I'm glad that I'm reading these books with Brie. Brie's amazing. I love her. And yeah, I don't know what it is, but it's just when Brie and I, we always find ways to find these good books to read together, and it's just a fantastic time. So I do appreciate her. And I'm just grateful. So this is what I'm talking about here. It's Mules and Men. I will leave up the discussion up above so you can check it out yourselves. I'm not going to get too much into it. You just got to watch our discussion because it's really good and it's very interesting. And I'm just glad we are reading Zora together. So yeah, this is the other book that I read. Next book, which this is a middle grade, and I love this book. It reminded me of The Land Before Time with Littlefoot, Ducky, Petrie, and Spike, and Sarah. It had that type of vibe with this book, and I'm not even going to get into it. If you know Littlefoot, you know the Land Before Time. This book hits the mark, and that is Deadlands Haunted by Sky Melky Wegner. And I have no words, but this was so good. So good. I love the whole thing about all these different dinosaurs, how they all have these different groups and alliances with one another. There's a war between two of the groups. Like we have the Mountain Kingdom, and then we have the let me see. Then we have, so we have the Mountain Kingdom and we have the Prairie Alliance. So we're dealing with war, but we have this group of pretty much outcasts that tried to help between these two different alliances. And I just loved it. It's really good. Like I said, if you like The Land Before Time and you like dinosaurs, this is the book for you. So I gave this a 4 out of 5 stars and I absolutely loved it. Next, I did a book review for this, which I'm gonna leave up above. I gave this a 5 out of 5 stars. I'm not gonna get into it even anymore because you have to watch my book review, and that is A Kick and I Fly. This is by Ruchira Gupta, and loved it. I loved every single moment of this. There had its moments where it was very, very sad, but also I love the main character and how she pushed herself and realized that her circumstances does not define who she is. So definitely check out my review if you haven't done so already. Next one I also had done a book review for, which is why I'm not going to talk much about it. And that is The Spy House by Johnny Compton. Loved it. I know that some people may have some about it, but I had a good time with it and I loved it. It was spooky and I enjoyed it. So we have The Spy House by Johnny Compton. Okay, the other book that I read, which I don't have in this pile because I don't feel like getting up because it's right there and it's under a bunch of a pile of books. I'm not doing it. And that is the 1619 Project. We read the section for April and I just had a fun time. Well, it wasn't really fun. It made me mad, but I enjoyed the discussion that we had on my channel, which I will leave up above so you can check it out if you missed it. But I actually am glad that I'm reading the 1619 Project and having these live discussions because I have a feeling that these books, they will find ways where they stop printing this book and that it's no longer in libraries, on shelves, and it's not going to be accessible anywhere. So it's like I want to keep my copy. I've been tabbing it up and I like having these discussions because the discussions that we've been talking about are needed. So yeah, I've been reading the 1619 Project and I'm glad that I'm reading it. It's very informational and there's some things that I did not even know about. So very excited to continue on learning as I read the 1619 Project. And then the other book, which I don't have either, I had listened to it on Libby, and that is The Untethered Sky by Fonda Lee. This is her new novella that recently came out. And I gave it a 4 out of 5 stars. We're meeting a girl named Esther, who lives with her family, and her brother and her mother get slaughtered by this weird animal called a manticore. And so she is now trying to make ways where she can get vengeance and to kill the beast that killed her family. And that's when she joined the Muse, and she has this bird called the Rooks. And I had a great time with it. I think that it should have been a longer book. I feel like the world could have been even more fleshed out. That's how I feel about her work. Like how with the Green Bone Saga, like if it was fleshed out to that degree, I feel like it would have been fantastic, which it was a still good book. Don't get me wrong. I wanted more. That's all that is. I was getting greedy and I wanted more, but I did enjoy the story. And if you haven't read Fonda Lee or any of her books, I suggest you pick it up. I suggest you pick her books up. Not even just Untethered Sky, but all her books, because her writing is spectacular. And then the next 2 books I had read, Crown of Midnight. This is from the Throne of Glass series, and I'm looking forward to I gave this a 4 to 5 stars. There's a lot of reveals, and the ending made me so sad. And then we like the dynamic between Selena and Kyle. I enjoyed it a lot. And there's a lot of steamy scenes in it, or not a lot, but just enough. So I'm really looking forward to continue on with this series. And then last but not least, this was my book club pick, and we did a discussion about it, so I won't get too much into it. I'll leave the discussion, the link up above so you can check it out. But that is Vinco by Sherry Demeline. And I give this a 5 to 5 stars. I think it was a 5 to 5 stars or 4 or 5 stars. I don't remember at the top of my head, but I really enjoyed this story. I loved the storytelling. I love the history in it. I love the mystery part of it. The witches of Salem. It was just a lot to take in. And this author is Indigenous too, so it brings up a lot. There's a lot of diversity. There's queer rep. it was so beautiful, and I cannot wait to read more by this author. This was my first book I read by Sherry Dimaline, and I'm excited to see what other books she has that's already out and what she's planning on writing in the future. But I just had a fun time with this, and I look forward to reading more. But that is it. Those, and that literally, I mean it. That is it. Those are all the books and manga that I have read in April. I really hope that you enjoyed this April wrap up. If you did, please give me a thumbs up, and also hit that subscribe button and that bell to be notified when I upload more videos in the future. But thank you all for watching, and I hope you all are staying healthy and staying safe. See ya.